Breaking news, everyone, breaking news. The Senate has struck a deal and is ending the government shutdown. And Democrats look fucking useless and pathetic as they open the government back up. So I'm going to be reading from a BBC article and a Politico article. I'll start with the BBC for a general overview, and then the Politico article goes into a little bit more detail. So, from the BBC, U.S. shutdown to end as Senate strikes deal 12 minutes ago. The U.S. government partial shutdown is set to end after Senate Republicans and Democrats voted to approve a temporary funding bill. Senator Chuckie Schumer and Senate Democrats said that they would support the bill if Republicans addressed a program that shields young immigrants from deportation. Democrats refused to vote for the bill unless they secured protections for recipients of the Obama-era program. Mr. Schumer said the 3-day shutdown was expected to end in a few hours. We will vote to reopen the government and continue negotiating a global agreement, Mr. Schumer said. He added that he was hopeful about the continued talks regarding 700,000 young immigrants brought to the U.S. as children who were protected under the Obama-era Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, which proved to be a sticking point for the Democrats in last week's negotiation. The final Senate vote to approve the temporary bill was 81-18. The bill provides funding to keep the government open temporarily in the hopes that Congress can reach a new permanent funding agreement before February 8th. Though the impasse is over, the Senate still has a grand final approval of the bill and send it back to the House of Representatives for a vote. We need to move forward, and the very first step is ending the shutdown, said Republican Senator Mitch McConnell. So, very overview, and a lot of people watching are probably wondering why I'm getting so frustrated at the Senate Democrats for doing this. Well, now we go to the Politico article. In a dramatic turnaround, Senate Democrats voted to reopen the government on Monday after receiving a commitment from Republicans to hold a vote on immigrant legislation, paving the way to end the 3-day shutdown. So wait a minute. So you guys voted to open the government back up, but you didn't include DACA in that? The one thing every Democratic constituent wanted from you, Senate Democrats, was DACA, and you couldn't deliver. You held all the cards. If you watched the show yesterday, I went over it. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. If they couldn't keep government open, it's their own damn fault. And not only that, they did need 61 votes, or 3/5 of the Senate, to vote for the budget for it to get through. And they couldn't even get all 51 Republicans. It's not the Democrats' fault, right? Trump ends DACA through executive order, right? That deadline's coming in March, okay? But Democrats wanted it with the budget, so they just were going to add it to the budget. Republicans ended CHIP in late September, early October, and for 4 months sat on their asses, didn't do anything to fund CHIP. Paul Ryan went up there and said, it's a bipartisan thing. The Democrats don't like CHIP, so they're not going to vote for this budget, and so they hate children. That's exactly what they do. No! You had 4 months to vote on it, Paul Ryan. Well, not Paul, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is the majority leader in the Senate. They had 4 months to propose a bill, technically in the House or the Senate, so all of them are at fault. You had 4 months and you sat doing nothing. If Republicans had 61 votes in the Senate, DACA wouldn't get funded and CHIP wouldn't get funded. Because if they actually cared about the kids, they would have put it up for a vote at any point in the last 4 months. But they didn't, because they needed leverage on the budget, because they knew that Democrats wanted DACA, and since Trump ended DACA, Republicans now needed to not look weak and give Democrats what they wanted. They had to get something in return, so they took a hostage that wasn't even a hostage, CHIP, and held them against their will. 9 million kids use that to get health insurance, and over 10 years, it saves the U.S. government money. So the fiscally responsible conservatives are not fiscally responsible if they're taking a program that saves America millions and millions of dollars in 10 years just to get a shitty wall through. That's all it came down to. Republicans and the GOP are at fault with this at least. At least. The only other option is a bipartisan shutdown where both are to blame. But for the reasons I explained, that's not even accurate. They took Chip hostage. Sorry, I apologize. They took Chip hostage and did nothing with it for 4 months. They could have voted on it at any time, and then they had the gall to turn around. They have the gall to turn around and blame the Democrats. I hate the Democrats. But it's not their damn fault. That's partisan hackery through and through. If you believe anything else, you're a hack, you're stupid, you're blindsided, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. Whatever else you want to get thrown at, it's probably true. So we're going to keep going with the Politico article. The Senate voted 81-18 to move forward on a bill to fund the government through February 8th after Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer agreed to end the shutdown and continue to negotiate on immigration and spending matters. So we're not even out of the hole yet, but the Democrats have the cards in their hand. They have the upper hand against the Republicans right now, and they caved. What makes you think that come February 8th, they're not going to cave again? You know, Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House, and they can do roughshod. They can do anything that they wanted to. They have been. It's not been reported on because Russia, and Trump tweeting out something stupid. So a lot of the shit that they've passed has not gotten through to the news. But when Republicans have that opportunity, they do go roughshod. They do. They go, fuck it. We're just going to do everything in our power to get anything that we can, and anything that requires more than however many votes we have. We're going to do hardcore political games, and we're going to play politics, and we're going to get what we want. When Democrats come in, when Obama had the House, and when he had a supermajority in the House and the Senate, and he was in the White House, bipartisanship. We need bipartisanship. That's why it took 1 year and 8 months for Obamacare to get through after it was enacted and proposed in the House. 800 amendments, hours upon hours of open debate, and Republicans still complain that it was being shoved down the American people's throats. So I don't know what they want. Republicans are incredibly incompetent. So I don't know what they want. So the one thing the Democratic constituents wanted was DACA. They wanted DACA with the budget. They wanted either a clean bill or proposed it with the budget, whichever, and it seemed like we were going to get it with the budget. So now, as this article is going to go ahead and explain, we have to beg and hope and knock on wood and pray to God that Mitch McConnell is going to be a man of his word and bring up a clean bill relatively soon. Republicans, my prediction is that Republicans aren't going to mention, like Mitch McConnell has already said at the end of the BBC article, we need to move forward, and the very first step is ending the shutdown. We need to move forward on immigration. Fine. You need to open the government. Okay, so that just happened. When February 8th comes around, they're going to get a budget through. At some point or another, they are going to get a fiscal year 2019 budget through. It's not going to include DACA. And then Democrats have no leverage whatsoever because Republicans are going to play political games. Yeah, we'll talk about DACA. You just got to get a long-term budget through. That's exactly what's going to happen. Exactly what's going to happen. So we continue with the Politico article. Without a border deal, the Senate would take up legislation to protect hundreds of thousands of young undocumented immigrants who are losing legal protection as long as the government remains open. The process will be neutral and fair to all sides, Schumer said. We expect that a bipartisan bill on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program will receive fair consideration and an up or down vote on the floor. Democrats have been deeply skeptical of McConnell's commitment, but indicated after a party strategizing session that they're willing to trust the majority leader. Oh yeah, let's see how that turns out. Because Mitch McConnell is someone I trust to watch my kids. I'm encouraged by commitments Leader McConnell has made, Senator Chris Coons, Democrat from Delaware, said, emerging from the meeting. I'm looking forward to the vote, and I think it will be important that we take a step forward. Senator Angus King, independent from Maine, said that Democratic leaders faced a practical question. Are you going to achieve more by holding out or by accepting McConnell's offer? Earlier, McConnell has stressed that the Senate can't advance immigration bills until the government was operating again. A group of Democrats huddled with McConnell on the Senate floor after his remarks and before each party held private meetings that determined the outcome of Monday's vote. Democrats, feeling burned about the House neglecting the Senate immigration bill in 2013, had wanted a more ironclad commitment from GOP leaders to take up a legislative fix to the DACA program, which has given legal protections to hundreds of thousands of young immigrants. That commitment ultimately appeared to be enough to persuade enough Democrats on board, but it's looking unlikely the Democrats will get one, at least for now. Senate Majority Whip John Cornyn, Republican from Texas, defended McConnell as a trustworthy, honorable person, and Democrats should take the Kentucky Republican at his word. I realize there's a trust deficit up here generally, but I think one of the first steps to regaining that trust is for the leader to make that commitment and follow through on it, Cornyn said, adding that McConnell's oral pledge to Democrats is all they're going to get. Which is incredibly naive because I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it. There's no benefit because let's just go ahead and assume that he's not going to. Let's just pretend that he just doesn't. Well, now what? Republicans aren't going to get mad at him because they don't want him to do a deal in the first place on DACA. And Democrats weren't going to vote for him anyways in the midterms. So it's literally a win-win for Republicans. Their own constituents don't get mad. And in fact, a lot of them will be more happy for Mitch McConnell if he doesn't go through with this. And he doesn't lose votes in the midterm. Meanwhile, the Democrats' constituents and the Democrats get fucked because they're spineless, they're weak, and they're paid to lose. And they don't get a fix on DACA. So coming in two months, month and a half, month and 2 weeks, March, when DACA does end, what then? Democrats have no leverage. DACA ends. Republicans get giddy. Democrats feel defeated. The government shutdown has a lingering effect for the 2018 election, but we don't know exactly which way that's going to fall because a vast majority of the people do blame Democrats, and a good majority of the people blame Republicans, and a small majority of people, or a small minority of people, blame both sides, which is at least what a majority of people should be, if not blaming Republicans, because for the points I've laid out for 2 days in a row now, how does a party who holds all of the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives not keep the government open, and then also purposely hold hostage 9 million children and their health care through CHIP, and then don't vote on it for 4 months? How is it the Democrats' fault? That literally doesn't make any sense. So it's a bad deal that just went down, and for the Democrat constituents out there,